At 3 a.m., while the house was quiet and everyone was supposed to be asleep, my sister slipped into my room and took my car keys. I didn't hear the door. I didn't hear the drawer. I didn't hear anything at all. The silence of the house at 3 a.m. was absolute, a thick, sleeping quiet, broken only by the distant hum of the refrigerator. I, a creature of routine at 32, was dead to the world, unaware that, in the gloom of my bedroom, a hand was fumbling across the top of my dresser. The keys, always placed in the precise spot next to my wallet and phone, vanished with a soft jingle swallowed by the night. My sister, a shadow in the doorway, slipped away. The deed was done. My own awakening came at 8 a.m., with the clear, sharp light of a Saturday morning streaming through the blinds. The emptiness on the dresser registered before my conscious mind could articulate it. A cold, instinctual dread shot through me. I was at the window in seconds, still in my boxers and t-shirt, my heart a frantic drum against my ribs. The driveway was empty, but it wasn't my car that was missing. Parked in that prime spot by the garage had been my mother's brand new gleaming silver SUV. A $40,000 monument to her recent promotion, a vehicle she had shown off to every neighbor, every cousin, every casual acquaintance for the 3 weeks she'd owned it. My older sedan was in the shop for a transmission issue, and just last night, with a tone of grave responsibility, she'd handed me her keys. "Just move it closer to the garage in the morning, sweetie," she'd said. "I don't like it sitting so far out by the curb." The keys she'd given me were now gone. My sister, in her typical entitled fog, had seen my key fob on the ring and assumed the rest. She'd taken what she thought was my car. I stood there, paralyzed, staring at the void of asphalt. The logical part of my brain began assembling the scenario with a chilling clarity. My sister, 24, with a history of impulsive decisions and a magnetic pull toward drama, had likely rallied her friends for some late-night adventure. A party, a road trip, something that couldn't wait for daylight or permission. As if on cue, my phone buzzed on the dresser. A text from an unknown number. No words, just a single devastating photo attachment. I opened it, and my stomach plunged through the floor. There it was. Or rather, there it wasn't. The beautiful silver SUV was now a grotesque sculpture of twisted metal, wrapped intimately around a telephone pole on what looked like a desolate back road. The front end was accordioned into itself, the hood crumpled like a discarded candy wrapper. The windows were a spiderweb of cracks, the airbags deployed and sagging like deflated lungs. Shattered glass glittered on the wet pavement like morbid confetti. Another buzz. A follow-up text, this time from a name I vaguely recognized, Brianna, my sister's friend whom I'd met maybe twice. "Hey, this is Brianna. Your sister said she was going to call you, but I wanted to make sure someone knew. We're all okay, just shaken up. But the car, it's totaled. We went to a lake party a couple hours away. It happened around 5 a.m. on the way back. She swore she was fine to drive. I'm so sorry." Fine to drive. The unspoken words hung in the digital air. She'd been drinking. I took a series of deep, steadying breaths. Then, with methodical calm, I took screenshots of everything. The photo, the messages, the phone number. Evidence. It was a habit born from a lifetime of navigating my sister's chaos. 20 minutes later, I heard my mother's morning ritual begin. The creak of her door, the soft footsteps on the stairs, the hum of her tuning into a new day. She entered the living room, her favorite ceramic mug steaming with coffee, a light tune on her lips. She saw me standing like a statue, phone in hand, my face undoubtedly ashen. "Honey, what's wrong? You look like you've seen a ghost." "The SUV is gone," I said, my voice eerily flat. Her smile faltered. "What do you mean, gone? You moved it, right?" "No, I didn't." Confusion, then concern, then dawning panic marched across her face in quick succession. She rushed past me to the window, as if I might have somehow missed a 3-ton vehicle. Her back straightened when she saw the empty space. She whirled around, her eyes wide. "Where is it? Did it get towed?" Wordlessly, I handed her my phone, the horrific image still on the screen. The color drained from her face. She snatched the phone, her free hand flying to her mouth. "Oh my God, what is this? What happened?" I explained, my tone neutral, as if reciting a news report. "My sister took my keys from my dresser sometime after 3 a.m. She thought she was taking my car. She drove to a lake party 2 hours away with her friends. According to her friend Brianna, she was drinking but insisted she was fine to drive back. She crashed it around 5 a.m. That's what's left of it." Mom sank onto the couch as if her legs had given out. She stared at the photo for a long, painful minute, her knuckles white around my phone. Then she looked up, a fragile, desperate hope in her eyes. Are you sure? Maybe. Maybe it's not ours. Maybe it just looks similar. Are you sure it was her? My keys are gone. The car is gone. Her friend sent me this and explicitly said it was my sister driving. I gestured to the phone. What other conclusion is there? Her denial was immediate and fierce, a fortress built over years of habit. No, your sister wouldn't do that. She wouldn't just take a car. There must be a mistake. Maybe someone stole the keys in the car. Maybe you moved it and forgot. Her voice rose in pitch and volume with each wilder theory. I didn't interrupt. I didn't argue. I just let her spiral, let the walls of her denial butt up against the immovable facts I'd presented. The wait for the protagonist to appear felt interminable. She finally slunk in 4 hours later, just past noon. The sound of her key in the lock, my key, I noted, was followed by hesitant footsteps. She looked like a portrait of guilt and dissipation. Last night's makeup smeared into raccoon rings, clothes wrinkled and smelling of smoke and stale beer, a small, stark cut on her forehead, the battle trophy from her night. Mom sprang from the couch as if electrocuted. Oh, thank God, are you all right? What happened? Where have you been? The concern in her voice was visceral, automatic. My sister's eyes, bleary and bloodshot, darted to me, then back to Mom. I stayed at Brianna's. We crashed there after hanging out. It was late. Did you borrow a car to get there? Mom pressed, her voice trembling on the edge of the truth. Yeah, just an Uber, she lied smoothly. That's when I held up my phone, the catastrophic image facing her. The effect was instantaneous. All the residual color fled from her face, leaving her pale as wax. She looked like she might be sick. What is that? She stammered, the performance beginning. That's not, I don't. Your friend Brianna was very concerned, I said quietly. She wanted to make sure someone knew. The dam broke. A torrent of lies, excuses, and deflections poured out. You said I could borrow it, she shrieked, pointing a trembling finger at me. You told me last night you wouldn't need it. You left the keys out for me. It wasn't my fault. Some maniac in a truck ran me off the road. Then came the tears, big, gulping sobs designed to trigger my mother's nurturing instincts. I was so scared, Mom. It was so traumatic. I watched, dispassionate, as my mother's head turned from her weeping daughter to me. Her expression was a masterpiece of conflicted loyalty, love for the distressed child in front of her, and a dawning reluctant suspicion toward the calm one. Did you? She asked me, her voice tight. Did you give her permission? No, I said, my single syllable cutting through my sister's theatrics. I was asleep. She took them from my dresser without asking. He's lying, my sister wailed. He's always lying. He's jealous of me, Mom. He's always trying to make me look bad. I saw it happen in real time. My mother's posture softened. The sight of her younger child in tears, claiming persecution, was a script she knew by heart. The facts began to blur against the powerful force of this familiar narrative. She turned to me, and her voice took on that placating, slightly disappointed tone I knew so well. Stop blaming her. She's clearly been through an ordeal. She would never just steal from you. There must be more to this story. We need to be supportive, not accusatory. That's when I smiled. A small, quiet, utterly involuntary smile. Mom stiffened. What on earth could you possibly find funny about this? Nothing, I said, the smile lingering. Nothing's funny. I'm just glad we're all on the same page, getting the story straight. My sister sniffled, confused by my demeanor. What's that supposed to mean? It means, I said, shifting my gaze to my mother, that you borrowed a car without permission, totaled it, lied about the circumstances, and are now being defended. The narrative is clear. I paused, letting the absurdity hang in the air. So, do you want to call the insurance company, Mom, or should I? A deafening silence swallowed the room. Insurance? Mom whispered, bewildered. For your car? Your insurance will handle it. I shook my head slowly, a pitying look on my face. Mom, my car is at Ray's Auto Shop on Jefferson Avenue. It has been for 3 days. You gave me your keys last night. You asked me to move your SUV. The only vehicle in that driveway last night was yours. The sound that escaped my sister was a guttural choke. Mom didn't even look at her. She was staring at me, her brain desperately trying to rewind the tape and re-examine every frame. The realization didn't dawn. It crashed over her like a tsunami. Her hand flew out, and I gave her my phone again. This time, she wasn't looking at a generic wrecked car. She was looking at her crushed dream, her financial security, her trust wrapped around a pole. Her hands began to shake so violently I thought she'd drop the phone. This is my car? The question was a hollow whisper. Yes. She turned her head toward my sister. The look on her face was entirely new, a shattered blend of betrayal, fury, and profound gut-wrenching loss. It was the look of an enabler whose bill had finally come due. My sister stumbled back a step, tripping over her own web of lies. I didn't know. It was dark. I just saw his key fob and thought, I made a mistake, Mom. An honest mistake. You made a mistake. Mom's voice was low and trembling, but with a cold edge I'd never heard directed at my sister before. You stole my brand new car. You drove it drunk. You destroyed it. And then you lied to my face. What part of that is an honest mistake? The script had flipped. The golden child was tarnished. And the evidence was irrefutable. The excuses that usually worked like magic now sounded pathetic and hollow. Mom sank back onto the couch, burying her face in her hands. The questions she asked next were not the comforting ones my sister expected. They were financial, practical, devastating. Do you have any idea what you've done? That car is gone. Do you understand insurance may not cover this? You weren't on the policy. You were drinking. I left them there in the wreckage of their dynamic. I went upstairs and lay on my bed, listening to the heated, desperate sounds from below, my sister's pleading rising into hysterics, my mother's voice, cold and sharp, cutting through it, the sound of a pedestal shattering. An hour later, a soft knock. Mom entered, looking a decade older. The apology she gave me was raw and painful. She admitted her blindness, her failure to believe me. She asked, lost, what she should do. It's not my problem to solve, I told her. Not unkindly, but firmly. I'm not the one who stole a car. I'm not the one who defended the thief. I'll provide any statement needed to the police or the insurance company. When she asked, voice quivering, if I was really going to let my sister get arrested, I gave her the truth she'd shielded us from for years. Decisions have consequences. She made her choices. Do you remember all the times you took her side? All the times you told me I was too harsh? The excuses you made? This is where that path ends. The aftermath. A landscape transformed. The insurance company was merciless, as I knew they would be. Unauthorized driver, intoxication, family exclusion clause. The claim was denied outright. Mom spent hours on the phone, cycling through rage, pleading, and despair, but the $28,000 remaining on the loan was now a personal debt sitting squarely on her shoulders. My sister performed the expected penitence, staying in her room, emerging with tearful promises to get a job and pay back every penny. Mom, for the first time, did not soften. She did the math aloud, the brutal arithmetic of minimum wage versus a 5-figure debt. Years, she said flatly. It will take you years. The tension in the house was a palpable entity. I navigated around it, going to work, tending to my own life. My sister cornered me once, eyes blazing with a sense of unfair persecution. Are you happy now? I'm not happy or unhappy, I replied. I'm observational. I'm watching consequences. You could fix this, she hissed. You could talk to Mom. Tell her it was all a misunderstanding. We're family. I looked at her, this stranger who shared my blood. Family doesn't steal from family, and the victim doesn't fix the perpetrator's mess. 3 days later, Mom told her she needed to move out. The trust was ash. My sister was genuinely shocked. The ultimate consequence had always been theoretical. She turned to me, a final reflexive plea for the old dynamic to save her. I simply said, it's not my decision. She screamed that I had turned Mom against her, a final spectacular failure to understand her own agency. You did that, I said quietly, when you stole a $40,000 car and turned it into scrap. Updates, the long unraveling. My sister bounced to the friend who'd sent the photos, but that sanctuary, built on shared poor judgment, quickly collapsed. Within weeks, she was calling Mom, the desperation clear in her voice, asking to come home. Mom, her voice frighteningly steady, said no. She suggested my sister figure it out the way adults do. I was there. I saw the grief and the resolve warring on Mom's face. After hanging up, she asked me if she was being a monster. I told her only she knew what she could live with. Mom bought a used, sensible sedan with cash. No more flash, no more statements. I'm done trying to impress people, she said one evening, and I'm done making excuses for those who don't respect me. My sister's calls became texts, long, rambling mixtures of apology, self-pity, and accusation. Mom started deleting them unread. I can't handle the emotional manipulation anymore, she confessed, a boundary forming where once there was only open access. The reckoning and the slow mend. 6 months passed. A sort of peace settled over the house. Mom seemed lighter, freed from the constant gravitational pull of my sister's crises. Then, one Saturday, my sister appeared on the porch. She'd been in therapy, she said. She was working, saving. She handed Mom an envelope with $1,500, a first payment. She spoke of boundaries and accountability, words that sounded foreign in her mouth. Mom listened, her guard never dropping. She praised the effort but held the line. She wasn't ready to let her back in. When my sister asked to see me, Mom called me out. The change in my sister was visible. A weariness, perhaps, that came from introspection rather than partying. She apologized to me, not for the car, but for a lifetime of resentment, for making me the villain for her own choices. I told her forgiveness for what she did to Mom wasn't mine to give. I told her the path was the one she was on: therapy, work, accountability. When she asked me to intercede with Mom, I refused. "This is between you two," I said. The old triangulation was over. Mom began cashing the monthly $250 checks my sister sent, depositing them in a separate account. She didn't know what she'd do with the money, but the act of accepting it felt significant, not as salvation, but as a record of responsibility being slowly, painfully shouldered. Eventually, Mom invited her for coffee. Just coffee. They talked for 2 hours. Later, Mom told me it was civil, even productive, but she was adamant. No moving back in. Boundaries, once learned, were to be maintained. They could, perhaps, build something new, slowly and carefully, with clear rules. The last family gathering was Mom's birthday dinner. My sister was invited, a guest among others. She was polite, appropriate, and left early. It was cordial. It was distant. It was progress. Reflection in the rear view. Sometimes I still stand at that window in my mind, looking at the empty driveway. I think of that stolen moment in the living room, the moment my smile flickered as Mom told me to stop blaming my sister. I smiled because I knew the truth was a pendulum, held back for years, finally about to swing with crushing force. I don't regret that smile. I don't regret my silence. That night, a car was destroyed, but a dysfunctional family dynamic was shattered along with it. My sister learned that actions have tangible, life-altering costs. My mother learned that enabling is not love, but a slow poison. And I learned that sometimes the ultimate kindness you can offer is to step aside and let the people you love face the unforgiving mirror of their own choices. Protection from consequences is a theft of its own. It steals the opportunity to grow up. The crash was the catastrophe that finally broke the cycle. From that wreckage, with time and painful effort, something healthier, something real, had a chance to be rebuilt.